Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 173 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Joey, Nick, and Ben. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. Happy to be back with you guys after a little holiday hiatus.
Yeah, Holiday Hiatus took the words out of my mouth. Happy to be back as well. Good to see all you guys. And I'm excited to give our grades for each team in the league up to this point in the season. I'm very excited for that.
For sure. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all the viewers. Our first episode since Christmas and nearly the new year. Crazy that we're almost in 2026. Ben, did you get what you wanted for Christmas this year?
Yeah, say I got stuff I wanted. I got tickets to go to a Cavs game, the one against the Pistons. I can't complain about that.
That'll be a fun one.
Definitely should be fun. But yeah, as Nick said, since it has been a while since we've been on, just a lot of back and forth movement from all of us, thought that we would give our grades for every single team as they, I guess, head into the new calendar year. So we're going to talk about every single team split amongst us four. So it should be a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoy this one. But to start things off, as always, we've got a POELTL to complete, the final one of 2025. So our first guess, let's see, we were talking beforehand. We're going to go with Julian Champagny from the Spurs. All right, it's going to be a former Spur that's now in
Wow.
the Eastern Conference.
A former Spur that's now in the East. Okay, we got to get
That's
this.
a little younger, a little taller, but a forward.
Like a
Okay,
younger
so
guy too. Like this is definitely gettable.
who are the recent trades that the Spurs made? Like, then they had to deal with the Hawks. So I was
Let
immediately
me
going
yeah,
to Atlanta.
the DeJounte Murray trade. Young Spurs around the or I guess in the East.
See, this might be like a guy who was
I
thrown
thought
in on
that
that
was
deal,
guy
though.
Branham something, but he's
That's what
he's
I was
not big
thinking as
enough
well.
though.
Yeah, Malachi Branham, but I think he's a guard. He'd be a guard on this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's go around the league. Young Spurs from over the last few years that are now in the
What was
East.
the trade for Malachi that they made, or to get rid of him?
That was to get Kelly Olynyk on their team,
From
I
Utah?
believe. No, from Washington. He was sent from New Orleans to Washington, like the C.J. McCollum trade, and then they traded him to San Antonio for Malachi Branham.
Was anybody else in that deal?
Yeah.
I cannot remember at this current moment. Man, I want to get this into so badly.
I do
What
too,
about
because we should be able to get this.
the other Champagne plays for Washington, but he never played for San Antonio?
Yeah, I never played for the for the Spurs. I mean Malachi Branham, we could guess him just to try to get divisions out, but I don't think that that's going to be even like
But
right.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't think
We
so.
know he's a forward. He's going to be around like 6'8", 6'9".
Man, former Spur. This
I
is
would throw
tough.
Branham on the board.
Wait, Dominic Barlow maybe?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's on the Sixers. That is an elite.
Yeah.
That might be it.
Ben, please.
We're
Nice
trying
pull,
it.
Ben.
Dominic Barlow on the Sixers. It's
Oh
go!
yeah. Oh
Great pull,
yeah.
Ben. Great pull.
Beautiful.
Dominic Barlow into fantastic way to end off the calendar year of POELTLs. But now let's get into our grades for every single team. Nick, why don't you get it started?
Yeah, let's start with the most popular team in the association, the Los Angeles Lakers. My grade for them so far is a B. You know, Luca, LeBron, and AR, they've got some really good. They're 20 and 10 or so, around like fourth in the West. Um, they've really been able to get some good highlight wins and have some highlight moments on that team, like with LeBron, AR, and Luca. But I just think that they're a step outside of a contender range, a contender spot right now. Um, they feel like they're a legitimate top four threat to get a top four seed, but I don't really see them knocking off, OKC or Houston or Denver. Um, so it just feels like they're kind of on the outside looking in. And with the sort of off court stuff that's happening around LeBron and whether or not he's going to be there next year or he's going to retire or um, what was the other stuff that he was in the news for this week?
Well, I think the Lakers have been in the headlines a lot over the last few days and this weekend because of the 10 losses that they've had this season. And Joey, how they've all kind of been in similar fashion, right? This Lakers team, of course, with Luka,
JJ.
LeBron, and AR,
His
we
frustration.
knew going into this season that they were not going to be, a talented defensive team by any means. We had a lot of concerns about that heading into the season. And those are coming true really, so far. And they were, highlighted on Christmas Day when the Lakers got blown out by the Houston Rockets, which is one of many losses to athletic, physical teams.
110%. The biggest issue that we have with the Lakers is they have probably some of the most talented guys in the entire NBA on that team. However, they just cannot do it on defense. And that's the thing. I completely agree with what Nick gave them the grade because they are kind of a step out of the contender. They're still going to be good. They're still going to be a highlight team, but until they get their defense right and they start giving a little more effort on that end, and like Nick said, JJ Redick's frustration is clearly growing so much that it's getting out to the public now as well in those press conferences. So something's got to change. I think not super quickly, but at least definitely before playoffs.
Yeah, Ben, when you take a look at the Lakers' losses this season, I've gone through their losses this season have been to the Rockets, twice to the Suns, the Spurs, the Thunder, the Hawks when they were, playing well defensively, the Blazers. These are all teams that kind of play a similar style defensively, but also on the offensive end with lots of movement and energy that can cause a lot of trouble. And that's been, the biggest problem for the Lakers. And as Joey referenced, JJ Redick in post-game press conferences is call out his players, saying that it's consistently the same guys that aren't giving enough effort. And he, was not going to deal with 50 more games of this season.
Yeah. The Lakers, I watched the game against the Rockets, and it was a struggle with, how they were matched up against the Rockets. Like, the Rockets, their size, I noticed gave the Lakers a lot of trouble. And, yeah, I totally get JJ's frustrations for that game. Things just looked like a mess. Things just really didn't go the Lakers' way at all in that game. And yeah, it's been tough trying to incorporate things with LeBron back in the lineup. I've noticed as he's come back, but LeBron's still finding a way to play well. Still, and I think their top three guys, they got are great players. But now Austin Reeves, man, he's out with an injury for a month. That really hurts. And now they're kind of on the injury bug again. And I also don't think the Lakers' depth is all that great. Still, once again, behind their top guys. And that's been an issue I've talked about for multiple years, the Lakers. And I really don't get why that totally hasn't been solved already. And
No, you're right. They're super top heavy.
Yeah, that's once again.
And they're old, and they don't play defense.
Yeah.
They don't compete at the level that JJ wants. So,
Well,
I mean, they're 20-10, which is
they're only old with LeBron. I would say LeBron is obviously being the oldest player, but the other guys there,
I would say the majority of them are like in the second half of the back, like the second stint of their career, their second act. Like DeAndre, Smart, even like Luka's not a young kid anymore. He's in the second, but he's in his prime. But this is like kind of like a second act.
I think they're all in the prime of their careers. But I don't think that this defensive, like them struggling defensively, this isn't because I should say, besides LeBron, because he's the oldest player in the league and his body defensively is just not, able to give it all defensively every single night, obviously like his prime. But everyone else, this isn't an age or anything like that. That's not the reason why they're struggling defensively. These guys are not defensive players besides Marcus Smart or Jared Vanderbilt, who are now going to get a chance to play more now that Reeves is out for about a month. And I think that might be something that can help them a little bit. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit on this podcast, how there could be a world where the Lakers are better suited on the floor when they have two of the three big three players, because you can get more defense on the floor with Smart or Vanderbilt. So we'll see with those guys getting more minutes if that can actually help them over this next month as they get to the middle of the season.
They're the 24th oldest team by average age.
So what is 24th youngest or 24th oldest?
They're on the bottom 10 in age. 26.35. Okay. The youngest is 23, Brooklyn. Oldest is 28, Los Angeles Clippers.
Gotcha. Okay. I would say that is largely because of LeBron's 41. I think that's the outlier.
That makes sense, yeah.
Which I think besides him, they're in the middle of the pack. But I think they definitely do have to figure it out defensively, and I don't know what roster moves they can make because Nick, like you said before, they are extremely top heavy, so it's not really sure, how much value these other role players would have in a trade.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. JJ isn't gonna stand for it, though. I know that much.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So the Lakers, a B for
B.
Nick. I think that's a fair grade for the Lakers so far. Ben, how about we go to you next? What team do you want to talk about?
Well, I got a few exciting teams I have to go over. I guess I'll just go to one of them. Let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs. I know this is a team we should definitely talk about no matter what today. And for the Spurs, my grade for them is an A. Like, overall, I've really liked what I've seen out of San Antonio this year. Quite impressive that they beat the Thunder 3 times already. That's unbelievable. They seem to match up quite well when they play the Thunder. And yeah, they've taken a step up. They've won a lot of games. They've taken a jump, kind of like how I thought they would at the beginning of the year. And even when Wemby's like not totally at his best, like just coming back from injury recently, it's impressive that other guys are stepping up and doing well. So it's a good sign that they have great depth too. And once Wemby, just continues getting even more form here, as long as he just continues to stay healthy, they're going to get even more scary. And yeah, they just lost to the Jazz and the Cavs 2 games in a row, but I think, after an emotional win against the Thunder, that I think they can bounce back. Those losses will be good wake-up calls for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they're second string, and the guys who are not Vic and De'Aaron Fox have really been achieving, and that's been the main surprise and the main reason that the Spurs themselves are overachieving. They're in a good spot, and I think like you said, beating the best team in the league and the defending champs back to back is says a lot. It says more about them, I think, than the Thunder even. And yeah, I agree that these 2 losses will hopefully be a bit of a wake up call for them, and I expect them to get back on track because they have a great roster. I know, Ben, you're a fan of Mitch Johnson and what he's been doing with the Spurs this year. Seems to have them all with the right sort of mental attitudes and stuff. So, yeah, I like where the Spurs are. I give them an A too.
I agree with that. Spot on analysis, Ben. They've just been overachieving. I thought they would have been a playoff team, but like 5 or 6. I thought they would have been a bona fide, but not second. And these 2 losses, yeah, I agree. I appreciate the victory that the Cavs needed wholeheartedly because we needed that victory and we've been playing better. But Spurs will be fine. Their only competition is the Thunder.
Yeah, for now, and it could also be themselves because this is a super young team, and I think that this last week has, shown the complete ebbs and flows of an NBA season for a young team. Getting those 2 emotional wins over the Spurs, along with the one in Vegas in the NBA Cup, and then letdown losses to Utah and then the Cavaliers at home. And I'm very excited for their next game because on Wednesday, on New Year's Eve, they play the New York Knicks at home in a rematch of the NBA Cup Championship. So we'll get to see how the Spurs respond to back-to-back losses and in that game against the Knicks. But yeah, those 3 wins against the Thunder were just so impressive. I did not think they were going to be able to win all 3 games, especially the one on Christmas. I thought the Thunder were going to really respond and put it to them. But the Spurs just have a knack for being able to get into the paint and create. And I think that's the number one thing that you see with this team outside of Victor Wembanyama. You see how dynamic those 3 guards are with De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, and Stephon Castle.
They find a way to find a way.
Yeah, and they're definitely looking good. So definitely well warranted for the Spurs. Is there a chance? I mean, do you guys think that they are a true title contender this season, coming off of those 3 wins against the Thunder? Could you guys see the Spurs going on a deep playoff run?
Yes, very much so.
Who's more of a title contender, the Spurs or the Knicks?
Spurs.
I would say Knicks.
I'll just say Spurs, just because I think whoever wins the championship, to be honest, is probably going to come out of the West because they've just been looking better all year so far. And again, it is still a long season, so who knows that things can change. But the Spurs' real only competition is those top teams in the West. I know they lost the NBA Cup, but
what Miles said is it might be themselves,
and they very well could be. Yeah, I just think they're the second best team in the NBA right now.
I just don't think they have the experience.
I would have said this. I would have said the same thing, but the Thunder, they're a very young team as well, and they've done it.
It's different in January and December than May and June.
Well, and it's also different when the Thunder, they had a playoff run before their title run in 2024. Spurs, this would be their first year making the playoffs with this team.
That is true.
But definitely, I mean, it shows. I mean, it's high praise. I mean, even for, someone like Ben, the highest, fans on the Spurs heading into the season, 23-10, second in the Western Conference, fighting for a top spot. Like, I don't know if anyone would have expected that coming in. I don't even think the Spurs themselves expected that coming into the season. So a terrific start for them. Joey, who do you want to talk about first?
Well, I will stick in LA like Nick was doing. So I'm going to talk about the LA Clippers. Yeah, the oldest team in the NBA. They are 10-21. They're really, really bad. However, I gave them a D-. The reason I didn't give them an F is because they're on a little bit of a winning streak now. They've been playing better ball as of late, and the game I've actually watched these couple games, and they look good. Like, they look like they can actually live up to the potential that we saw. The only problem, the reason I still give them a D- is I think it's still a little too late. I think they needed to go on this run earlier in December or even late November and get things back on track then. I think it might be a little too late. I think their ceiling now is a play-in. I think that's the only way they could have a chance to be competitive. And by then, who knows what could happen. Like we said, this team is built for the playoffs. And if they make it in the play-in, anything can happen, especially with these guys that who know how to win. But I personally think it's a little too late. I think they miss everything. But recently, they've given me a little bit of hope. Tiniest bit.
Yeah, the Clippers, they've definitely been the biggest disappointment in the league this season with all the veterans they have on their roster. The way they played last year was so impressive, taking Denver to 7 games in the first round last year. This year, they start off 6-21. Defense falls off. They look old. They're turning the ball over. The whole Chris Paul situation, earlier in the season. Right. But yeah, they're on a 4-game winning streak, and Kawhi Leonard is coming off of a 55-point game. Incredibly, the first 50-point game of his career, playing really well against that Pistons team. And, their 4th straight victory and their wins in this winning streak, Pistons, Blazers, Rockets, Lakers. Like, these are 4 impressive wins, and this Pistons win was the first game of a 5-game homestand. in front of, their fans there at the Intuit Dome, in front of the wall. So, there is still plenty of time to go in the season. Ivica Zubac is out with injury, but Joey, one of the games that Blazers game that they won, Brook Lopez was in the starting lineup, and he made 9 threes in the game. I mean, he just opens the floor and spreads the floor so much for guys like Harden and Leonard to attack.
Yeah, they looked so good on the offensive end when Brook Lopez was in there. And even Klingon is a pretty solid defender. He couldn't even get out there fast enough at all because he had to stay inside because the rest of them were doing work. Like, they were just cooking on all cylinders. They looked like a team that I thought they would be this year. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, there's still time, but might be a little too late. But they're looking good as of right now. They look like a playoff team right now. Their record's just 10-21.
Yeah, Ty Lue said when they were 6-21 that the goal for the Clippers is to finish the season 35-20, to go 35-20 over their final 55 games, and that would get them to being 500, right on the mark, 41-41, which would have them in the play-in. And currently, they're 4-0, so they're off to a good start and trying to achieve that goal. And then, like you said, Joey, in a one-game scenario, I mean, a team with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, I mean, no team's going to want to play them in that sort of situation.
Very reminiscent of like the Jimmy Butler Heat when they were in the play-in, and then they just kept winning because they knew kind of how to win.
Yeah, the question is, though, can they do it? Nick, what do you think? Do you think the Clippers can get their way into a play-in spot by the end of the season?
Well, they got to do it one game at a time. They got a steep hill to climb. They need a good month of January, and they got some cupcakes coming up on the schedule. Like you said, they got a 5-game home stretch. They got Brooklyn, Detroit, and then Charlotte, Washington, Toronto, Washington, Chicago. That's their 5-game stretch against Eastern Conference opponents in the middle of the month. So this month is going to be very important for them. But they're also playing Utah twice this month. Like, they need a good month of January, and they can get right back on track.
Ben, what do you think? Do you think the Clippers can do it?
Yeah, I agree with Nick. They just have to take it one game at a time going forward still. And I think they can do it. I don't know. I'm believing in them now. Just as long as they keep staying healthy, of course, because Kawhi, man, he's getting back to playing some great basketball. I'm quite impressed with what Kawhi's doing. And James Harden's doing James Harden stuff, and Brook Lopez looking more like Brook Lopez back from Milwaukee now, which is good. That's definitely helpful with him being inserted into the starting lineup. And, well, they're somehow doing better without Chris Paul now, which is interesting. Okay.
Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe that will end up being the right decision. After the crazy turmoil that happened there at the end of that. Yeah, I think the Clippers could definitely do it, but as Coach Cove would say, as I'm sure Coach Ty Lue is saying, one game at a time. You got to take this one at a time to try and climb this mountain and get back to a playoff spot in a loaded Western Conference. I'll go next here. I'll go over to the Eastern Conference. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently 13-19 on the season, 11th in the Eastern Conference. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been in and out of the lineup with varying injuries. Has played in 18 games. They're 10-8 with him, 3-11 without him. My grade for them, I'm giving them a C.
You should give them an A because they're fulfilling your prophecy. They deserve an A+.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so far, this is about where I had it. I'm not really too surprised that they're, in this kind of range here. I am surprised that they're in this range still, being outside of the play-in, despite finding point guard play with Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. playing very well and very efficient on the offensive end for this Bucks team. The problem has been everywhere else for the Bucks. Miles Turner, is doing Miles Turner things. He's not having a, spectacular season by any means. AJ Green has been really good. Gary Trent, has been okay on and off with his shot. Kyle Kuzma has been okay. Everyone to me has just been okay, which is right where I had the Bucks coming into the season. But, you know, of course, the biggest question of potentially the entire season across the entire league is when we get past the trade deadline, is Giannis Antetokounmpo still going to be happy enough to want to be on this Milwaukee Bucks team? And we're getting varying messages. I know in their last game, their win against Chicago, when Giannis came back, he did the windmill dunk at the end of the game when the game was already over. And Nick, I know we had a nice conversation after the whole situation with Tyrese Halliburton's dad after the playoffs last year. We have another kind of situation like this at the end of this game. What were your thoughts on that in Chicago when you saw that?
If you don't want him to do that, guard him. If you don't want him to dunk on your hoop in your home building after you lose, guard him. The game isn't over. No one was in that half of the court. So bam. Like bam.
Yeah.
Joey, what did you think about Giannis's comments after the game? He kind of made it a lot more philosophical about how he did it because he wanted to inject energy to his team to try and turn this around. I mean, what did you think about that whole thing?
Kind of thought it was a load of baloney. I feel like he just wanted to go out there and windmill dunk it and shove it in their faces. Like, I know he didn't. He definitely didn't have to do that. But I do agree with him that, like, it's a stupid kind of unwritten rule. I'm with Nick on this, though. Like, if you don't want him to do that, guard him until the buzzer ends. Like, that's what you do. Like, even when people dribble the ball out sometimes, people are just standing in front of them. Yeah, just stand in front of them and try to stop them or something. I don't know. I thought it was a little kind of baloney because I'm still waiting for that Shams bomb, and I want Giannis somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is trending that direction, Ben, with this Bucks team. I mean, again, they're 13-19. They're 10-8 again with Giannis in the lineup, so they're barely over 500. And I feel like, I mean, if they want to get to where they want to, they can't be at a barely over 500 pace in this Eastern Conference if they really hope to keep Giannis long term. I mean, we'll see when it comes to the deadline if they look to try to buy and try to get more pieces to make them more competitive, but it's not looking that good.
Yeah. I've been impressed with the guard plays he said, but yeah, the team really isn't all that good around Giannis, but I kind of expected it going into the season and doesn't surprise me too much. And yeah, I really am curious what's gonna play out in the future with the Giannis thing. I don't totally know now with the mixed messages and stuff, but I am though overall disappointed with the Bucks recently that you have this superstar player, one of the best players in the world, in Giannis, and you're not taking advantage of that really at all well.
Yeah, no question about it. So see for the Milwaukee Bucks, we'll see if they can pick it up going forward. Nick, what team do you want to go to next?
We are heading west again. No, I'm sorry. We're gonna stay in the East. Everybody's favorite team out in Chicago. Shout out SMH, the Bulls. You know, they're heading for the play-in. What else is there to say? They've been there. The play-in was invented for. I saw someone tweet. They're like, why did they even invent the play-in? It's the same three teams every year. It's Atlanta, Chicago, and
Miami.
I don't know. Miami. That's right. Yeah.
And that's
currently those three teams are all right there. Yeah, as Nick, I know you're a Hoop Collective listener. As Brian Windhorst likes to say, all roads lead to 39 wins for the Bulls, no matter what year. All roads.
Yeah, they could start 38-1. They'll finish the season 1-29 or whatever the numbers are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a roller coaster.
I gave them a C. They got a C from me.
Yeah. They start 5-0. They just went on a 5-game winning streak, and they had that like 3-13 stretch in the middle of that. But then they come up with some weird wins. So yeah, pretty much a C season for the Bulls. Ben, what's our next team?
Next, we'll go to how about the Washington Wizards, who, yeah, the Wizards this year haven't been very good like other seasons. It's rebuilding again, but I gave them just a C plus because, yeah, you're seeing some good development though out of young guys, which helps in like Trey Johnson and Alex Sarr. But I wish they were a bit more competitive on a few more games. I'm one that's like, well, I think the Wizards aren't a very good team. They could possibly land a top draft pick, which really helps. But I want these young players starting to learn how to win because some of these young players, that they got that I see good potential in, like a Trey Johnson, like an Alex Sarr. I think, those guys could be like the future of the Wizards, and hopefully, eventually they, get some rookie who comes in and is like that superstar for them. We'll see, but yeah, kind of middle of the road, just C plus with how things are going for them this year, I think.
Yeah, shout out to Alex Sarr though for having a pretty good sophomore season. 18 points, 8 rebounds, has bumped his efficiency up. He was just 39% from the field last year, up to 51% this year. So definitely getting better. Only 20 years old. So the Wizards definitely have some promising young talent. And Joe, I mean, they're doing what we expected them to do. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, they're doing bad. It's what they want to do. It's what they need to do. Develop some of their young guys. I like a couple of the young guys. Even the vets are doing solid. Like I like CJ McCollum is still there, like teaching some of these guys, helping them. But I'm with Ben. I wish they were a little more competitive. But until they get that superstar, or if they ever get a superstar, this is going to be the norm.
Yep. Joey, where are we heading next?
We're gonna head to one of my favorite teams in the Western Conference, the Sacramento Kings. And
oh god, how did we let Joey get the Kings?
You're
you made the list.
You made the list.
Chat GPT made the list,
and you gave me a lot of
shout out.
So
that was an overlook on my end. Obviously, I'll have to go back and edit Chat GPT next time.
But we'll keep this short and sweet. They are 8-24. They're bad.
That's their grade.
They're the only team I ever gave an F. I give an F to, because they're bad. They're really bad. They have no future until they trade some of these guys who have seemingly no trade value to get something. So
are they in the worst position of any team in the league right now?
I think they still have their draft pick.
Yes.
So that's the only thing that could save them. So no, but
New Orleans then, obviously, right?
Yeah, definitely probably New Orleans. But yeah, I would Kings still not a good situation because a lot of their vets outside of maybe Zach LaVine has any trade value, and my note here for them is to blow up the team, and that's what they need to do, but they just can't.
Yeah, we'll say. I mean, Russell Westbrook is having a pretty good year.
All right, outside of Russell Westbrook,
Brody.
I don't know. Like, is he someone that like a contending team might be interested in? Because it's not like he's on a huge contract. I know how he's been in playoffs past, but I mean, he's still someone that can put up numbers and still play well. On certain nights.
Still don't have a ring.
I would love to see him get a ring. I think he has trade value, but it's not much.
Back to OKC.
Yeah.
Back to OKC.
Yeah.
But, hey, you know who's got draft picks and young guys? Thunder.
That's right.
Is any of them worth Russell Westbrook?
That'd be hilarious. Let's see. Let's talk about the Pelicans. We'll go down to New Orleans and talk about the Pelicans, who 8-25, worst record in the Western Conference. They had fired Willie Green earlier in the season. They promoted James Borrego. But in the middle of December, they went on a 5-game winning streak, and it changed up a bit of their lineups. And, for a little week or so there, it had Pelicans fans feeling pretty good. Overall in the season, I'm going to give them a C-. I'm not going completely in the dog hole, on the Pelicans, because I like what they've been doing recently, since Zion Williamson was injured for a little bit, he came back and James Borrego has him coming off the bench in 7 games to try to preserve his minutes and preserve his role. And he's been playing great off the bench. In 7 games coming off the bench, 21.6 boards, 59% from the field, 80% from the free throw line. And then, they're young guys. Jeremiah Fears has been good, to start off his career. But the big guy, Derek Queen, has been awesome for the Pelicans. In the month of December, Derek Queen's averaging 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists for the big guy. 55% from the field. He's knocked down his threes as well. So in a season where, we were all like, what are the Pelicans doing trading away their unprotected, first round pick? And while it's still, may be like that, Derek Queen is proving that he might be worth it. He might have been worth trading away the first round pick because he looks really, really good.
I told you guys when I went to Vegas, he was in the first game that I saw, and I was on the court, and I was like, man, that is a big dude. And then he's doing all the things that you'd expect someone that's a foot shorter than him to do in terms of like getting past guys and making bounce passes in the lane and finishing at the rim and shooting threes. So I always compared him to Cat. Like from that point on, I thought he was like, that is the potential he could be. But I mean, like if he's getting 5 assists a game, like that's not in Cat's game. He might be a little bit more of an innate feel guy, and maybe like Cat's skill level is just so high. I don't know if he's gonna ever make it there. But I still think that's a really good comp, and I'm just adjusting it a little bit to add a little bit more feel and maybe less skill than Cat.
I'd say a super duper baby Jokic, like 10 times baby Jokic. Because obviously I don't want to compare anyone to Jokic, but I see him out there with how big he is and some of the stuff that he's doing. I mean, he's a little quicker, but he has, he's a smart player and he can do a lot of things on the floor. So I'm excited for the Pelicans the rest of the season to just have the ball in his hands and Jeremiah Fears' hands and see what you can do. And then in the offseason, we'll see if this stretch where Zion is coming off the bench or Trey Murphy, if anyone gets any value there, you can maybe move on from them, try to get some first-round picks back or some players to surround yourselves with Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen, because as it stands right now, it feels like those are the 2 guys that this Pelicans team should be building around.
Derek Queen is one of my favorite rookies to watch this year, outside of Cooper Flagg and Yang Hansen.
Would you guys give up on Zion if you had the keys to the Pelicans GM?
I would. I just don't know what you get for him. We've talked about it a lot before. How I don't know. It's hard to tell where he would go. But I mean, heck, if he's going to be a super sub off the bench that can just come in with energy, running up and down the floor, then that could be, very valuable. I'm just not sure.
To me, this screams that it's been so much of a cluster F for Zion's whole career there in New Orleans. Like, to me, this says that he's still the same guy like we've thought he was. Maybe not like, I mean, coming out of college, like he literally was being.
Oh, lost Nick there for a second. There he is.
Coming out of college, he was being comped to like GOAT status stuff. But it just screams like disorganization, because if you're going to bring him off the bench, this just this is evidence that he's still got it. If he's going against second units and his efficiency is going up and he's getting 26 and 5 or whatever the numbers are, like that's evidence that he's still him. And I think everything that's been going on around him has like been the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers on it, he's on the whole season, he's averaging 22 points in 28 minutes a game, 54% from the field, gets to the free throw line 9 times a game. So, he's done a really good job. He's been in passing lanes, gotten more steals. So Pelicans, obviously, it's gonna hurt if they have to give up their, first round pick to the Atlanta Hawks still, but I think it stings a little less since Derek Queen has looked so good with that pick. Nick, where do you want to go next?
We're going to talk about a top 3 team in the East, and it is not the Pistons. It is not the Knicks. It's not even our Cavaliers. It is the Boston Celtics, sitting pretty at top 3 in the East, baby. So obviously they have an A. I gave them an A-. Totally overachieving, similar to the Spurs. Jaylen Brown's putting up a monster individual season. And then, like, Pritchard and White started off slow. They've found some rhythm. Kata looks good. Like, they're one of the deeper teams in the league, and Tatum's still hurt. So if they get him back, then they're really going to be cooking.
God, I hate the Boston Celtics. They make me so mad. They're too good. They never have a down year. Like this,
They're
was
balanced. They're just everyone knows their role. I'm sorry to cut you off. They're balanced. Everyone knows their role. It's like they just work well together. They have the experience. They have a ring.
They're a good team, and there's talk about Tatum coming back, which makes me even more mad because that means our Cavs championship window, which was very, very slightly open, is now probably shut.
You got guys like
Well-
Walsh and Gonzalez. Like that's what I said deep, and I didn't really take it back. Like it kind of felt like an eyebrow raise thing, but I do think they're one of the deeper balanced teams in the East.
They got a lot of good players on that roster, and the coach knows how to. He knows how to work them. He knows how to work them. He knows how to play them. He knows what roles they play, and they're playing them to perfection, like you said. Yeah, they've been fantastic, as much as they make me mad.
Yeah, and Ben, it seems like throughout the entire, season so far, and even in the off season, the Celtics personnel was saying everything except that Jason Tatum is completely ruled out for the regular season. So they're leaving the door open for him to try to return here, and I feel like that could be maybe the biggest story, one of the bigger stories in the league as we keep on going through, is if Jason Tatum comes back, and obviously we don't know what he would look like coming back from the Achilles injury, but if they can get him back and maybe trade for a center, because, although Cade is good, you want more center play on their team. If they can do that, then this could be one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference, and they could definitely go on a deep playoff run. This is definitely a team to watch for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree, Biles. Very curious about the Tatum thing. Would be cool to see him come back, but unless like they're playing the Cavs in some playoff matchup, then that could be kind of tough as a Cavs fan. But yeah,
think?
I have been impressed with the Celtics this year. I was low on them before the season started. I really didn't think they were going to be this good, and that the depth was actually going to be looking good with guys. And I mean, the big man play hasn't been awful, but like it's not like great as Miles said. I agree. I think they need to try and trade for a center this year to up that for the playoffs. But I'm quite impressed with Boston.
Yeah, definitely one of the bigger positive surprises in the league this season, the Boston Celtics. Ben, where do you want to go next?
I'm gonna go to the Toronto Raptors now, and for them, I gave them a B plus grade, as I think for the Raptors so far, for where they're at, it's been a success so far this year, as they're actually pretty competitive this year. Won a nice amount of games so far this year, and are up there in the playoff race in the East right now. And that's pretty good for them. They've been even more better than I thought they were actually going to be to start the year, which has me impressed with them. And I really like what I've seen for Brandon Ingram. He's bouncing back this year. It's turned out to be a good trade at the deadline last year, getting him. And the Raptors, have just good wing play that makes it tough on teams. They're versatile. Scotty Barnes has been great at doing all different things well. He's found a good role with that this year, and I'm just happy for Raptors fans that they finally get a good competitive basketball team again.
Scotty Barnes just had the first 2020 triple-double in Raptors history. 23 points, 25 rebounds, 10 assists. Absolutely ridiculous. He's a monster.
He out-rebounded the entire Warriors starting five.
Oh my gosh.
That's ridiculous.
Couple good wins for Toronto last two nights. They beat the Warriors in Golden State. I'm sorry, at home. And And they had a back-to-back with Orlando at home and snuck out a 1-point victory tonight as well. So 1-3 of 4, playing Denver on New Year's Eve without Jokic, chance to go 4 of 5, and top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Your Toronto Raptors currently.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Raptors were able to pull it off, a comeback win against the Magic with a Jamal Shed game winner. So it was crazy.
21-point deficit.
Yeah, and they were able to come all the way back and get the job done. So, yeah, Raptors, it's kind of been, they got off to a pretty good start. It's been up and down since, so we'll see how they can keep on going. I mean, of course, the middle of the Eastern Conference is kind of a mess right now. I mean, it's all really, really close together. They just happen to be the 4th seed right now. I would not be surprised at all if they end up in the play-in and we get to see the true, 4 teams of the play-in all together with the Raptors, the Heat, the Bulls, and the Hawks. But either way, Raptors have been, playing very well. Their starters have looked good, together. So, good year for the Raptors so far. Joey, where do you want to go next?
One of those inevitable 4 teams in the play-in you were talking about. I'm going to talk about the Atlanta Hawks.
Ooh.
We were joking earlier in the pre-pod lobby about them being one of the teams that's just always seems to be in the play-in, and they are 15-18, smack dab right there. They're not.
Trae Young is not helping out.
They're not a good team. Yeah, no, I gave them a C-. And the reason it's not lower is because there is potential. Because in my notes I wrote trade Trae. If they do end up trading Trae Young, no matter what they get back, they got a really promising young core that even if they make the play-in, I call that a success with this team. Because then those young guys get that experience still.
Well, they were supposed to be top 4.
I know,
yes,
but that was
were.
because Trae Young was supposed to be a good point guard and contribute to winning basketball. But the only thing he does is make them lose because they seem to actually play so much better when he is not on the court. So,
yeah, well, here's the deal. The record, they are 2-8 with Trae Young on the floor, and one of those wins included was a game where he only played 7 minutes because he got injured. So you can call it they're 1-8 with Trae Young, 13-10 without him, and 13-10 pace has them as a 5th seed in the East. So it really is crazy. And since he's come back, they haven't won a game. Like, you take a look at the numbers for Trae Young. I mean, his counting stats really aren't that great, compared to his normal numbers. But then his on-off numbers defensively, when he's on the court, when he's off the court, the Hawks have a 116.3 defensive rating, which I want to say would mark around like the middle of the pack in the league. When he's on the floor, 129 points given up per 100 possessions, which is horrendous, absolutely awful. And it is just hard to see. And it's got to be frustrating for Hawks fans because what are you supposed to do? I mean, he's been the face of their franchise ever since he's gotten there. But clearly, it's not even just an eye test thing. They are an awful team. They're one of the worst teams in the league when he's playing. And when he's off the floor, they've played like a team fighting for home court advantage. I don't know if we've ever seen anything like this before where you're so much better without an all-star player. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, if no matter what you trade for him, it doesn't matter really what you get back. You're in good shape. You're in good shape just getting him off your squad. But because he doesn't really have that much trade value because he's just playing horrible.
Yeah, so the Hawks, it's a tough spot because I don't know a Trae Young trade that would make sense right now. Like, I don't know what team in the league would take that type of point guard play when, again, he's hurting his team like this. But, again, they were pretty good. I mean, they're in this play-in mix literally because he's gotten back in the lineup. But they've gotten, some very solid play there from some of their role players. But got to talk about Jalen Johnson, who, my goodness, he's been one of the best players in the East this season. On the year, 24 points, 10 boards, 8 assists per game. And in the month of December, averaging a 25-point triple-double in 11 games this season. He has been a monster. And in the games that Trae Young has been injured, Nikhil Alexander-Walker is averaging 21 points per game in 24 starts. I mean, he's one of the front runners for most improved player. And I mean, I seriously think if the Hawks, moved on from Trae Young, they wouldn't feel that much of a drop off because Nikhil Alexander-Walker's played so well. Conwu's played well. And, even like Porzingis has played well. He's been out as well. So I feel like if they can get Porzingis back with the rest of this Hawks team and they maybe move on from Trae Young, I think they'll play better because when Trae Young was out and they had all those defensive athletic players on the floor, that's kind of what we envisioned heading into the season, why they could be a top 4 team, a team that could win a few, win some rounds in the playoffs. But, since Trae Young has come back, that has just not been the case. They've completely fallen off.
One of the more confusing teams, for sure.
I know a team that doesn't care about defense that would trade for Trae Young. Add Trae Young to that Kings lineup. Have Trae Young, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Sabonis. Letting up minimum 150 points a game, guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. But yeah, Atlanta, I mean, Dyson Daniels and Zachary Sachet have been disappointing this year for that Hawks team. Again, there is still, time to go left in the season, but again, definitely strange. I mean, again, I don't remember there ever being a situation where you're that much better with your all-star leader off the floor. I mean, it's a very unique situation.
Do you agree with that C- grade then? Because that sounds about it. Like where they're disappointing, but like they can get better and they have promise. They do have promise.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'll talk quickly about the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll give them a C on the season. They are currently 15-17 on the season, the 9th seed. They've dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Early in the year, we had the Ja Morant situation. We all expected them to kind of have a bit of a drop-off sort of season, but that doesn't mean that they haven't had some bright spots as well. With Cedric Coward has been one of the more impressive, consistent rookies this season. Cam Spencer, I mean, the Spencer brothers have both been good, but Cam Spencer is one of the best shooters in the league. He's shooting 48% from 3 on 5 attempts per game, has improved his playmaking as well. Santi Aldama's had a good year. Jalen Wells has had a good sophomore year. Same with Zach Edey. So, Grizzlies, I won't call them the Bulls of the East because, the Grizzlies are, have in years past, been a high seeded team. But as far as this particular season, I kind of see them as the Bulls of the East because I don't see them dropping out of the play-in. But I don't see them doing a lot better than they are right now.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick, back to you.
We are going to go to New York City, where the New York Knicks are now only 1 game back of the 1 seed in the East. They're at 22-9, and I give them an A- as well. Same grade as Boston. I think Brunson is doing a great job of leading the troops and has them really locked into an efficient offense, and that is a strong identity for me. And then you got guys who you didn't really expect to be playing this well, like Kolick and Mitch Robinson, are just really stepping up. They have a lot of pieces on the wings between OG, Mikal, Josh Hart. They can all stretch the floor from time to time, and they all play very hard on the other end. Yeah, they're disciplined. They have playoff experience. That's their edge in the East right now over teams like Detroit and the Cavs and even
anyone.
Now. Anybody. But yeah, I think they're in a really good spot. And the only thing that I would say is I don't know if you can win a championship with Karl Anthony Towns as your starting center, and that's always been my one thing.
Yeah, we've seen that the last couple of years where there's kind of been a ceiling. Whether it's been in New York or Minnesota, it's capped out at a conference finals. So we'll see if they can get much further than that. But right now, it does kind of feel like they're the most reliable team in the Eastern Conference at a 22-9 record, winning the NBA Cup this year. Congrats to the Knicks for winning the Cup, our first time on here since they won it. Ben, where do you want to go next?
I'm going to go to the Detroit Pistons next. Another one of the top teams out east, and for them I gave them an A just because, well, the Pistons look even better, taking the next steps I was expecting them to do at the beginning of the year, kind of like the Spurs. And yeah, Cade, he's looked even more improved. He's turning into a superstar point guard. He could, you know, do assists, score. He do it all out there. And Jalen Duran's even better, like I was thinking he could be. He's lived up to that. He's always a tough player to go up against, and he can play great defense, rebound well. He's scoring even better this year, and the Pistons are still finding ways to shoot it well for free sometimes. Duncan Robinson's been a good addition there to help with that. And uh yeah, the Pistons lost their last two to the Jazz and the Clippers, which is tough. I've struggled a bit more recently, but I mean, it's a long year. I believe they can bounce back and figure things out. It's West Coast road trips. It's a lot of traveling the Pistons are doing now, and it's over the holiday season. So I get how it's not easy, but overall, I've been quite impressed with them this year.
Yep, they'll finish off their road trip against the Lakers here tonight, so a chance to finish the road trip strong. Then they play at home against Miami, on the road against the Cavs in Cleveland, in the game that Ben is going to, and then a 6-game homestand, with the first one being a week from today as we're recording against the Knicks. Playoff rematch, top 2 teams in the East this season finally get to face off for the first time this year, so that should be a very fun game.
That's on Monday?
Yes, Monday.
All right, we'll have to watch that and then record next week.
That's right. Very, very true. But yeah, Pistons definitely looking impressive. I mean, number 1 seed. It's been special. See how long they can hold on to it. Because again, the Knicks are playing very well. It's a long season, but I mean, I think if we came into the season, if the Pistons had home court advantage in the first round, that would be a successful regular season. Number 1 seed right now, and they're looking really good.
Agreed. They're already overachieving in my opinion. So good on them.
For sure. All right, Joey, where are we going next?
All right, talk about the best team from the East. Let's talk about the worst team in the East, or the worst team in the NBA. Actually, at 6-26. Hey, that's my sister's birthday. The Indiana Pacers, man. From being in the Game 7 of the NBA Finals last season, they have only won 6 games this year. It's been a little rough. A lot more rougher than we probably anticipated, even with Halliburton out. But they've been dealing with injuries. I actually give them a C+. I'll be honest. They have their own pick. Just keep losing, get a top pick, and come back healthy next year because some of their guys are still playing well. Like Benedict Mathurin's still playing well, or is playing well, getting a lot of opportunities this year. Pascal Siakam is doing what he's doing. Who is it? Neesmith is still shooting 39% from the field or from 3-point range. The only real disappointing one that I can kind of see is Obi Toppin a little bit. He's shooting a measly I know he's not a great 3-point shooter, but a measly 17% from the 3-point line.
That's bad.
About 5 threes a game.
Really?
Well, I want to say he's only played 3 games this year because he had to undergo foot surgery. So that's
you're right. Oh,
so
yeah,
he's barely played.
Oh yeah, so never mind. I missed that. My bad. But yeah,
the Pacers stink.
Just keep losing, get a top pick, come back healthy next year, and you'll probably be in a similar situation you were last year.
Yeah, my biggest disappointment is I would have hoped that one of Knicks' guys, Jarris Walker, would have had a better year. He's been pretty bad this season.
Let's move on.
But yeah, as Joey said, I mean, Pacers are doing what they're supposed to do. Let's see. Next up, I guess we'll go to the team that the Pacers lost to in the finals last year. Let's talk about the Thunder, who, of course, have had an incredible year still this year. We've sung their praises all of this season. 27-5, first in the Western Conference. I'm giving them an A. I'm not giving them an A+, and that is solely for the reason that, again, they lost 3 times to the San Antonio Spurs in 10 days, meaning that in just like a week and a half span, history was gone because now we were talking about them potentially getting the all-time record for wins. And the more important thing is now there is reason to have doubt in their team that they can win another title because there is another threat out there in the Spurs. And because of that reason, I'm not giving them a perfect A plus because they have not had a perfect season to their standards. Because if they were, they would be looking unstoppable. And they do not look completely unstoppable.
Even if they won that last game on Christmas and they went 2-1 against or 1-2 against the Spurs, I would still say they would get an A plus. But the fact that they've gotten swept 3-0 now, it's definitely that's a big weakness. So I tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah, I
and
think
they
it's a really
still play each other. Or go ahead, Nick.
no, that's an important point because you could say, well, it's just one team and they just have their number, but what these other teams will start doing is they start justifying like their own ability to win. Like they start kind of, if they can do it, we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think even though like it is just one team that did it, if you lose 3 games in 10 days in the playoffs, you're probably eliminated because that's about what you get in a series. So, the Thunder, these 2 games that they play against the Spurs, one on January 13th at home in Oklahoma City, and then Wednesday, February 4th in San Antonio. For regular season games, I think those are going to be super important for the defending champs to show and prove to themselves that they can beat that team because we saw, the Spurs, especially in those last 2 games, on Christmas and the 23rd, that, the Spurs, physically imposed themselves in that game. And I thought really overpowered a guy like Chet Holmgren down low. And that's something that team is still going to have to learn from. They've got some adversity to deal with during the regular season. I'm excited to see how they bounce back from it. But, again, we've sung their praises all season long. They've been one of the best teams ever through 31 games. They've had an unbelievable start to the season, but now a little bit of reason for doubt here, which I think is great for the league. Great for the league that it's not a complete cakewalk for this Thunder team to go back to back.
Yeah.
Nick.
Golden State, C plus. They just kind of feel like they're stuck to me. They're right around 500. They're middle of the pack in the West, and I don't know. Curry's still elite, and they're getting like some of these flashy wins and stuff, but the defense is bleeding into it's creating the defenses. If the defensive issues are bleeding into losses, and it just kind of feels like they're punching up above where I don't know their ceiling is lower than other teams around them in the West.
Yeah, they're 17-16 on the season in the play-in, and they kind of appear to be in the same spot regarding their biggest questions as in the offseason, particularly with like a Jonathan Kuminga. I think we're in the exact same position that we were in the summer. Draymond Green, and the Steve Kerr situation in the huddle a week ago, very curious to see what's going to happen with that. I know obviously Steve Kerr and that Warriors organization is going to say that they are going to try to make it a goal that Draymond, finishes his career as a Warrior. But Joey, we've seen throughout Draymond's entire career, these situations happen, whether it's on the court or off the court. And as Draymond is getting older, I feel it's one thing if you're dealing with those antics when he's having an on-court impact on the floor. This year, he hasn't had that as much. So you wonder if the Warriors will still kind of deal with it, having him on the roster, even though, he isn't having that great of a season.
I feel like they should, just because of how long he's been there, everything he's meant to them, and him and Steve, they've been around long enough, around each other long enough to figure it out. So I don't think I think they'll continue to deal with it. But for the future, I think the patience is definitely running thin now, just because, like you said, he is getting older. We've been dealing it now for 12 plus years now, and he's now not performing. Like, it's taken this long for him to stop performing as well, but like, this is where we're at now. I think you have to look at it logically, at least when it comes to this summer. And who knows, maybe they'll ask him to retire because they want to keep him a Warrior for his career.
Real
Yeah,
quick,
that'd be-
the Warriors gave up 141 to the Raptors last night, and from my own betting experience of betting on the Raptors over, and sometimes they're one of the 96 back to back versus the Celtics and the Nets, 96 versus the Heat. Like they routinely don't score 100 points like more often than I think almost any other team. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they put up 141 on the Dubs last night
That's bad.
in
That's
regulation.
not good. That's not very good. Ben, where do we want to go to next?
I'm gonna get into Trailblazers next, and I gave Portland a C plus. I think they, have shown some good flashes with their young players, but yeah, it's been tough, not easy year. But they're in the mix of things. Maybe could make the play-in tournament. I have loved what I've seen from Denny Abdia. He's a pretty star. Might be an all-star this year. He's playing that good. And Shaden Sharp's good. They got a good young core there, but they just need to develop even more. And they're just kind of mediocre, middle of the pack.
Agreed.
Always in the mix of things. They're in games at least. They're always going to make it tough. They're a great defensive team.
Very competitive.
Yeah, very competitive. Definitely something that we expected coming into the year, and I think the Blazers have held up to their expectations pretty well so far this season.
Yeah, Coach Tiago Splitter is carrying them.
True.
Still crazy. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. All right, Joey, where do we want to go next?
All right. Play the song. Let's talk about the Orlando Magic. They are 18-15, fifth right now, and I give them just a flat B. They're playing pretty well. A lot of their guys, their 3-point shooting is still god awful. But
What are you talking about? Anthony Black had 7 the other day.
Anthony Black has been playing fantastic, but I will say he is still shooting only 35% from 3 on the year, so that might have been a little bit of an outlier. But he's still got a positive plus minus. Desmond Bane, who's shooting it under 35%, who we all thought, or at least I thought, was going to help them with the 3-point shooting, isn't really doing that. But he's still playing pretty well outside of that. Him and Franz both have over a +2 in their plus minus on the year. However, their only downside is Paolo. Paolo Banchero hasn't been doing that great. He's shooting 23% from the 3-point line, 43% from the field, and he's actually a minus 0.7 on the plus minus. Like, he's averaging under 20 points. Like, he's still doing a little bit of everything. Like, he's still Paolo, but he needs to get a little better if they want to get a top 4 seed and get some home field advantage. I feel like that's what they need to and should be striving for. They're not out of it. They're in the 5th spot, and they can easily do that if Paolo just simply gets a little better. I think he's just kind of the missing piece that they need right now.
We blew a 21-point lead to Toronto tonight.
Yeah, that's not a good stat. That's not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to gauge how good this team can be because they've only had 14 games this season where they've had Banchero, Wagner, and Desmond Bane all together. Because it seems like as soon as all 3 of them as soon as Franz came back from his injury, Paolo got injured, and vice versa. So they've had to adjust to having only 2 of their 3 best players on the floor at most times, and Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs have been pretty good offensively, to allow them to stay in the in the middle of the pack there in the top of the Eastern Conference. But yeah, I just need to get healthy. I feel like for that Magic team, there's still plenty of time.
They're okay. Noah Penda is their 3-point percentage leader at 44%, averaging 1.3 threes a game. But outside of that is Wendell Carter at just under 40%, averaging 3 threes a game.
Yeah, that's a godsend because he could not hit a shot really last year. He was not a
Yes.
good 3-point shooter.
So that's the thing. Everyone's kind of stepping up a little bit. They just need to get a little healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'll go next. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets, the GFF, the Brooklyn Nets, who coming in just like the last couple seasons, expecting them to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, drafting the 5 rookies in the first round, trading for Michael Porter Jr. Of course, Cam Thomas still there. Then that's exactly what they looked like to begin the season. They started off horrendously, which you think is, it's the right thing to do. It's what you kind of want to do with, that certain situation. They start off 3-16, but I really like what the Brooklyn Nets are trying to build there, because that head coach Jordi Fernandez is trying to instill a culture and an energy for that team and an identity for that team to have going forward. And in the month of December, they have the best defense in the entire NBA. They are 7-3 in the month of December. Their defensive rating is 103.5 in December, which is 3 full points higher than the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are one of the best defensive teams in the league. So they are starting a pretty huge lineup there with Yegor Jemin, Terrence Mann, Michael Porter, Noah Clowney, and Nick Claxton, which makes it tough to score on the perimeter and on the interior. And, on the offensive end, Michael Porter has been playing like a top 3 player in the East this month, averaging 28 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists a game, 48% from 3 on 10 attempts per game in the month of December. So Michael Porter has been, 4 assists per game. But Michael Porter is playing, honestly, like someone that should make his first All-Star game this year, being on that Nets team. And, for a Nets team that, I don't think they're going to end up fighting for a playoff spot or anything like that. But just for the fact that they aren't just, throwing the white flag and just, losing all these games without trying to actually build something, I really like what they're doing. So although they're 10-19 on the season, I'm giving them a B+ on the season, because the fact that for an entire month that they could have the best defense in the NBA is really impressive. So I want to give flowers to the GFF, the Brooklyn Nets.
Definitely not going to be the GFF of the year, though. They've, like you said, I like what they're doing. They're setting the tone, and there are other teams that are playing much, much worse.
Well, after their coach called out Yegor, he started playing a lot better, and I agree that it's just really fun to watch MPJ do what he's doing right now.
Yeah, it's been definitely been fun. He's been one of the more fun players to watch in the league, just because it seems like he tries to make shots harder to take, and then he just swishes it through nothing but net. Like he's been an elite shot maker this year. Nick, where are we going next?
Philadelphia, the Sixers. I think they're kind of just like sitting there. I would say they're nestled in the lower Eastern Conference playoff picture. I don't really see them moving too much from that position. They came out with Edgecombe and Maxey, and we're like, dang, they got a new sort of flow. They got a new attack. And their offense has been really good behind those guys. It just seems like they're not sort of clicking consistently enough on that end right now to really be like a contender or an elite or have like an identity that they can impose on other teams on a nightly basis. So that's why I have him with a B-.
Agree with that.
Yeah. One of the more funny developments this season is that Andre Drummond is now shooting threes and making them at 39.5%. Like, it's crazy development now at 32 years old, but he, becoming a stretch 5.
Put him in the 3-point contest. Do it.
Definitely agree. That's probably where the Sixers will be at this season. Ben, what's next?
Next, I got the Utah Jazz at a B-. The Jazz, they've come on and played some better basketball recently. Quite impressive that on a home road back-to-back, they were able to beat the Pistons at home and the Spurs on the road. I did not see that coming in. And Keontae George, man, he's got to be up there for most improved conversations too with Nikhil, we talked about already. He's been phenomenal. He's finally breaking out like I was hoping to see out of him, and Lowry's been playing great too, and they're overall a fun young team, and I'm seeing even more development and even and like a culture more so getting built with Will Hardy there with these young guys, and it's been fun to watch. And I think there's some more bright I could see in the future of what I'm seeing right now.
What
Yeah,
was your grade for
completely
them?
agree.
It was a B minus.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely agree. Keontae George has been phenomenal. He's been really the only one of their, first round draft picks over this rebuild that is now looking like, he could be a cornerstone going forward. He's been great. Larry Marketing's been great. Ace Bailey's starting to play better. They're getting play from Yusuf Nurkic and Kevin Love at the center play. They're giving you occasional big games, which is fun to see on that team. It's good to see that they're being competitive now because going on later in the season, we might see them pull the plug because of how their first round pick is kind of set up this year. Top 8 protected. And if it's out of the top 8, guess who it goes to? The Oklahoma City Thunder. So the Utah Jazz need to make sure that they are, in position to get a top 8 draft pick, or else, it's all for nothing and it goes to the Thunder, just like the Clippers' first round pick.
That cannot happen. The OKC cannot get, because watch, it'll be like the 9th pick. It'll be right outside.
And then someone slips all the way to number 9.
Yeah, exactly. What do you mean, Cam Boozer at 9? Oh my god!
Just wait.
Oh,
We're joking,
right,
but just wait. All right.
Joey, next team.
Next team. Our good friend Jackson Goglin's favorite team, the Houston Rockets. They are 19-10. I give them an A minus. They're playing great. They have a really fun team. I like everything that they're doing. They kind of just need to stay healthy, win enough so they stay in the top 4, and get home field advantage at least for a round. That would be super clutch. Like, keep doing what you're doing. You're not going to catch up to probably OKC or even the Spurs, but that's still not even out of the realm of possibility. They can easily do that. They're just a really good team, I think, especially defensively, obviously. But I think they have an identity and they know what they do, and they do it really, really well.
Yeah, I think they're definitely one of the top 5 or so teams that are contending for the title this year, and they should be going for a top 4 home seed and worried about the playoffs and being their best during the playoffs.
Yeah, they are a tough matchup for a lot of teams to play just because of how big they are across the board, and the fact that I know they're, last year, of course, the offensive end was kind of where their downfall was in the 3-point shooting.
Yeah, they're shooting
the
well.
best 3-point shooting team in the league percentage-wise. They're shooting 40% from 3, and then the number is, of course, they're so huge. They get a rebound on over half of their misses. They get an offensive rebound on over half of their misses. So sometimes for the Rockets, I mean, the joke that goes around sometimes is that sometimes their best offense is just missing a shot because then they just get the rebound and get a putback or go to the free throw line. I mean, they're doing a lot of things well. The Kevin Durant addition has been seamless. Şengün's taken a leap. Thompson, Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, very good. And Reed Shepherd off the bench as, really the only natural point guard, I guess you could say, available on that team, has been, playing really well, shooting very well. My question for them, it's the same thing that I kind of had in the offseason, is in the playoffs, when it comes down to crunch time, will the loss of Fred VanVleet hurt them in games that come down to the wire? Because although the Rockets have been playing very well, there have been a few losses sprinkled in there where you could tell that they could use an actual point guard there to get them into their offensive sets when the game comes down to it. I mean, over the last couple of weeks, they lost in overtime to Denver, overtime at New Orleans, overtime at Sacramento, in a game where they had a 5-point lead with 2 minutes to go, and they had the ball for like 95% of the remaining 2 minutes and
Yeah.
lost the game in overtime. Like, those are situations where you need a point guard there so that you're not turning the ball over. They actually lead the league in turnovers in the clutch this season. So that's going to be something to watch in playoff time because, I think in double-digit blowout games, if the Rockets get up double digits, I don't think they'll fall in that type of game. But if it's close, although the Rockets have Kevin Durant, if they don't have a natural point guard there, the Rockets just need more experience or a natural point guard there. And in the playoffs, no matter what year, no matter what team it is, in order for you to go deep in the playoffs and have a chance to win, you got to be able to win close games. So the Rockets are going to need to fix that up throughout the rest of the season. I think that's the biggest thing to watch for them.
Turnovers in the clutch, I'm going to keep an eye on that stat.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I will add about that 3-point percentage, though, too, them shooting at just under 40% as a team, they only throw up 33s a game when most teams, I feel like nowadays, are nearing that 40 mark. So they just don't even shoot a lot, but they shoot at a very, very high clip.
Yeah, let me see. So the number on it is the Rockets are now they're now second in the league in 3-point percentage. Must have gone down in their last few
What's their
games.
3-point attempt rate? That's what the number we're
Attempts,
looking for.
30th in the league at 30 a game. So dead last in the league in attempts, but second in percentage.
That's crazy.
But yeah, very, very impressed by the Rockets. We'll see how they do, going forward. Now let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll talk about our Cavs. There's no beating around the bush. They've been the most disappointing team in the Eastern Conference. In the entire league. Most disappointing team in the East.
Clippers, Cavs.
Yeah.
Yes. So for that, they're 18-16. They've been in the play-in, mark of the standings the last couple of weeks. They are, of course, they've dealt with injuries the entire season. Feels like every game they've had a new, sort of lineup, but they're starting to have a little bit more consistency, and they are starting to look like the Cavs from last year. Over the last week, they just got a very impressive win over the Spurs. They looked great on Christmas against the Knicks before blowing the lead in the fourth quarter. But the last week doesn't make up for the previous 2 months. So they get a D+, but there's still plenty of time for them to figure it out. And they're starting to look a lot better, similar to the Clippers, the other disappointing team in the league, starting to look more like themselves.
Over the last week has given me a lot of hope, but they definitely have to keep that momentum going because you don't really have much more time to pussyfoot around it. Like you kind of just have to go and be this now consistently to get back up to hopefully a home court advantage.
Which is still, it is still possible. Again, a long way to go. The problem is, over the last week, like the losses to New York, the Houston game, which I think we were just talking about the Rockets. I think the Rockets are the worst possible matchup for the Cavs, even worse.
Well, that's because we're soft and they're the toughest team in the league.
Yeah.
Correct. But they showed the toughness against the Spurs. So, they're showing that they can do it. Just got to be a little bit more consistent. But the problem is they're trying to find their identity playing against teams that have their identity already. So that's going to be the thing that's going to give the Cavs a little bit of problems. But again, their guys are playing a lot better. Prior to this last week, only Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Tyson were guys that I would say were having like good seasons, better than I would expect coming in. But, playing better recently. Now they'll have to try to, be more consistent.
Do you guys think that this team can find an identity? I mean, they've had the core four together for how many years? How do they not still have an identity? And I get that you're bringing in new pieces. Like, it's not the same team as it was before because Strus isn't there. And, like, Lonzo Ball and Sam Merrill play really big roles now. And it's just, like, you have to kind of recreate your identity every year. But these four have been together for a long time, and we're still asking questions about what's their identity.
Well, I would say I think last year the Cavs had an identity, and that was being the best offense in the league. That would move the ball around a lot, knock down threes, and on the defensive end have two bigs that can protect the paint and, guys that could play pretty good team defense. And because of, I think, the inconsistent lineups on the floor and essentially everyone on the team having down years from three, I think the goal is to try to find that identity from last year. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what they're starting to do. I don't think it's
Okay.
trying to find a new identity for this year's team. It's getting back to how they were playing last year. And they're starting to do that a little bit better. But again, they've got to do it for more than just this 2 weeks.
Agreed.
But Nick, you're next. What team should we go to next?
The D-Town Dallas Mavericks. And I got a big old D plus for Dallas.
Not you, Dallas. This Dallas. Sorry, she's right next to me. She kind of looked up.
Speaking of identities, good luck figuring out what the Dallas Mavericks identity is right now. I mean, they need either to like really hold on until Kyrie and AD can like get the full strength and like so let's see what it looks like because I mean Lively's done for the year now, isn't he? Or he's out for next So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place where you're waiting for everyone to get back and then praying like at full strength we got something good here for maybe a year or two because AD's like 30 something and Kyrie's old too. And then the other thing you got is obviously Cooper Flag, who's been great, but doesn't really fit in with like the timeline of anybody else on this roster. So rock in a hard place. They're not really matching the expectations that we had for them coming into this year. They're underwhelming for sure. And yeah, I got a D plus.
Where's AD going? I think AD is on the trade block, or at least he will be soon.
Yeah, reportedly, Atlanta is a team that is interested in getting Anthony Davis. But Ben, I definitely think that the thing to watch with Dallas, as far as their veteran guys, is to see which ones they will look to move on from. Because I do think they'll look to move on from some of them. I'm not sure if Anthony Davis is the one. I mean, we'll see. We've had the conversation once Nico Harrison was fired. But Ben, what do you think the Mavericks' mindset should be the rest of the season?
That's a good question. I think it's got to be, keep developing Cooper Flag, build towards the future, try to build a great team around Cooper Flag. Kind of like San Antonio Spurs that they were starting to reset after they drafted Wemby. And now, after a few years, build a great team around Wemby. Something like that, I'm thinking. And I'm thinking, yeah, Anthony Davis is great when he's able to play, but he still has injury concern stuff, and I think they need to look at trade possibilities before the deadline with him, but they have to see how good the offer is. I think it depends on how good the offer really is, but I don't think Anthony Davis should be a part of their long-term future plans, but it is tricky for Dallas. Kyrie Irving, you could possibly forget him. He's still there too. You gotta figure out what to do with Kyrie there too. But I think Kyrie will still be there for the rest of the season at least.
Yeah, I think someone that could be on the move is Daniel Gafford. I think he's someone that I don't know why I've had him in a Celtics jersey in my mind. I feel like he could end up being their starting center potentially later in the season. But yeah, I mean, Dallas has just been, a rocky, season for them. Cooper Flag has looked really, really good, especially as of, recently. And their point guard play that they've gotten from Brandon Williams and Ryan Nembhard. Ryan Nembhard being their full-time starting point guard was not something I had on my bingo card coming into the year, but he's been very good, kind of plays like his brother a little bit and has, been that guy in there. Max Christie's been really good, for that Mavericks team. And, they're just going to try to stay in that mix because although, they've struggled, especially offensively a lot this season, they're not completely out of it. I mean, they're in a big game against Portland because I believe if Dallas were to win this game, they'd only be like a half game out of the play-in, the final spot of the play-in. So right now it's like Portland, Utah, and Dallas, and then the Clippers trying to come back as well to try to take those final spots in the play-in. So
could be a repeat of what happened last year when they got the last play-in spot just because literally everybody else quit at the end of the year.
It could be the case, and with the Jazz needing to keep their pick in the top 8, that could definitely be the case. Let's see. What team up? Ben, where do you want to go next here? Only a few teams left.
Yeah, I got one more team left, and I got the Hornets, and I gave the Hornets a C+ grade. As the Hornets once again, well, have been great, but a tad better from previous years. I There's a bit more hope with them this year. A big part is Cog Knipple looking great already as a rookie. He has looked like a great sharp shooter from 3-point range. He could get you buckets already in his rookie year, and you still got Brandon Miller, LaMelo, who are good. Could have some really fun highlight moments. Still, the Hornets still got that going, and uh, the Hornets a bit better this year, but not great. But I mean, there's some hope for the future where you can build around Con Knipple, but LaMelo is just still kind of LaMelo. It's complicated, I think, where the Hornets gotta kill LaMelo now.
Yeah, for sure. Again, the Hornets, another team where it's kind of the same story, as the last few years. But Concanipple has been so good. Like, I've been so impressed watching him play. Not just a shooter by any means. He's been a great shooter, but he's done a lot of other things as well, off the dribble, making plays.
Triple
I mean,
double.
he has been a stud for that Hornets team. He's been my favorite rookie to watch. Just 'cause, I mean, you don't usually see a guy of his build come in and immediately look like he's a 19-point scorer. Like he's been amazing for their team. So he's been one of the bright spots. It really has been really only their youngsters that have provided the bright spots this year so far for the Hornets.
Yeah, I've been liking Kalkbrenner as well, though, too. He's a really good defensive center. Big guy in the middle to deter shots. Someone they could build around with him, Knuppel.
Who's got Miami? Who's got Denver?
Well, I got Denver, and I'll be really quick because, well, actually, maybe. I give them an A minus. They're 22-10. Kind of the same thing for the Rockets as I have for them, where just kind of stay healthy, or for them now, get healthy. But try to stay in that top four. But as long as you guys are healthy by the time the playoffs start, I have full confidence that they can make a deep playoff run. But I did get an update on Bleacher Report from the coach of the Denver Nuggets, who says, "Tonight my mind will wander, and I'll wonder about what we have to do going forward if he is out for a while or for a long time." And he's saying all he is thinking about is Jokic as a person and the disappointment he's probably feeling. And they are going to be undergoing the full medical test tomorrow. So we will probably find out sometime tomorrow what's wrong with Jokic. But it sounds like from Adelman that it's might be a minute.
Yeah, so for those listening, we're recording this after the Denver Miami game where Jokic went down with what looked like a knee injury at the end of the first half of the Nuggets' loss to the Heat, which that obviously is the biggest loss in the league. He's been even more incredible. It feels like every year we say that he's having his best season in the league, but this year he's been unreal, averaging a 30-point triple-double, shooting 60% from the field. And Denver 22-10 on the season, already with like 2 to 3 starters out for a majority of the year. Christian Brown has only played 11 games, Aaron Gordon 13. A week ago, Cam Johnson got hurt. He's out for a week. And they've gotten the play from their role players. Like Tim Hardaway's been a great addition. Cam Johnson finally started to get it going from 3 before the injury. Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones has been starting. Bruce Brown, Valanciunas, and Jamal Murray, it looks like, is finally going to make his first All-Star game. He's playing like an All-Star lock this year for the Denver Nuggets. But yeah, what David Adelman is saying, this Nuggets season is going to hinge. It's going to all depend on the status of their MVP.
It might be a minute before they get him back. Let's just pray for some good news and hopefully a quick recovery for Jokic, because the NBA is truly better when he is out there.
Yeah, they're 22-10. If he misses, say that I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, get them back for the
Cool.
playoffs. Like Denver can hold on and stay. I mean, they probably drop to a play-in range, no?
Probably.
Yeah, and they they started a 6-game Eastern road trip, which
Yeah.
started with a 1-point loss in Orlando. They lose this Miami game. Now, 5 more games. I'm sorry, a 7-game road trip. So they play Toronto, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Michael Porter revenge game, and again, they've had the best defense in December. The Sixers, the Celtics, then back home to play the Hawks and the Bucks. So they just play a bunch of Eastern Conference teams here in January. But we'll see. This is why it was so important that they were able to get Jonas Valanciunas in the offseason because, I know he's older, but I mean, I would say he could still potentially be he's a spot starter caliber center. He's been a starter for a long time before. DeAndre Jordan was too. But I like Valanciunas, as a player. He's had a good season there as the backup 5, and we'll see if he ends up being the starting center with Jokic out. I mean, teams are just going to go at him on the pick and roll, but I think they'll be able to figure some things out. But we're going to really get to see. I mean, for maybe the first time, an extended absence of Nikola Jokic, because he's a guy that rarely gets hurt. So this was a very jarring scene to see him get hurt.
Yeah, it's again just praying.
Gut wrenching.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go next, and I'll go to one of my final 2 teams. I'll go to something a little more lighthearted. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns. Last year's runner-up to being the garbage fire franchise of the season. But this year, 18-13 on the season. I think maybe the best, positive surprise in the league this season. I don't know. This might be. I'm giving them an A+ on their season so far. I don't think that things could go any better for the Suns than they are right now. I think the only thing that hasn't gone as they would have hoped is that, of course, Jalen Green, the big name in the Kevin Durant trade, has only played in a game and a half for that team. But Dylan Brooks, the other guy that they got, has been awesome for their team. Grayson Allen's been great. They've gotten play from Colin Gillespie, is a great shooter, has turned out to be a very solid point guard for their team. Mark Williams has been a good addition. And despite a guy like Devin Booker not really having a very efficient year on the offensive end, the Suns have found a way to be 5 games over 500 right now. And I give all the credit to Jordan Ott, Matt Ishbia, and, a guy like Dylan Brooks for immediately finding a scrappy defensive identity for their team that they wanted to find in the offseason after just, very disappointing years when they had Durant, Beal, and Booker. And, they are now a team that on a nightly basis, no one wants to play the Phoenix Suns because it's going to be a tough game to win. You're going to have to earn it every time you play against the Phoenix Suns, which is not something that you would have said over the last couple seasons.
I've been super impressed with the Suns. Infamously, I put them below Utah in my my preseason Western Conference standings predictions. But yeah, I think a lot of credit is due to Dylan Brooks for doing what you said, giving them the identity, and that all comes from him. I would imagine he did the same thing in Houston, and he's playing well on the other end of the court too. Like he's playing well with the ball in his hands. And then Jordan Ott, that coaching staff has to be doing something right because they had very low expectations coming into the year, and now, like you said, nobody really wants to play him.
We're very much missing Jordan Ott over here in Cleveland. I can say that for a fact.
Yeah, for sure. No question. All right, 3 teams remain. Nick, do you have one more?
I thought I was done.
Joey, do you have one more? I have 3 teams left. Oh, no. Sorry, there are 2 teams left. I'm sorry. I forgot to cut out the Kings. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, so 2 teams left. Who has Miami?
Nick has the Heat, according to his text that he sent us.
And Nick seems jarred by that, so I'll talk about the Timberwolves, our final team in the Western Conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 20-12 on the season, 6th in the Western Conference, which is where they were at the end of last year, 6th in the Western Conference, 9th in offense, 7th in defense. They've had a pretty solid year. I'm giving them a B. Anthony Edwards has been great. Jaden McDaniels has been pretty efficient offensively. Julius Randle's been okay. They've been better than I expected. I didn't expect them to be this high in the standings. I know that was one of the hotter takes I had coming into the year, but my question for them still remains, are they still too top heavy? Like, there are still, as currently constructed, there are only 6 players really on their team that have like playoff experience that I would really trust going forward on their team. They have their starting 5, and off the bench they have Naz Reid. Now, Mike Conley's old. Don't trust him at all now in the playoff. Maybe he can give you a game, but I don't really trust it that much. And, besides that, they've just been searching for someone to provide that spark. They've tried Bones Island. They've tried Jalen Clark. They've tried Terrence Shannon. They've tried Rob Dillingham. They've tried everyone on the bench on that Timberwolves team. And really, they only have 6 guys that they can really rely on every single night. And, when it comes to playoff time, we know the history of Rudy Gobert in playoffs too. So, it's really tough to see what they could end up doing. But as far as the regular season, I think they've had a B season so far.
Maybe
I got Miami real quick. I can give them a grade.
Oh, all right.
A+. I had them 6th coming in, and here they are sitting at 6th.
That just means you're a genius.
No, legit grade. I think they're doing very well. I would give them a B. Tyler Hero's been out almost the entire year. I think he's missed like 23 of 26 games or something crazy like that. And it's been by committee. Like Jaime Jaquez is having a resurgence in year 3, I think. And yeah, I like their offense. Like, we run a similar thing in our high school at the varsity guys and the freshmen and the JV, where it's just like everyone gets a touch. Like, if you don't have an advantage when you catch the ball, swing it, cut through, and then someone else is going to drive, and then you'll be back out on the 3-point line for a catch and shoot opportunity. It's kind of like the philosophy behind it. And I just like, they're a fun team to watch play. And yeah, they're right where I expected them to be. So A+. No, B.
First in pace. They play the fastest pace in the league, which, is exactly what you're saying, Nick. They've got the 3rd best defense in the league. Their offense is slowed down a little bit. Still getting used to playing this fast-paced style of basketball because, when you think of the Miami Heat, you normally do not think of a fast-paced team, since the Heatles days when LeBron and, when LeBron was there with those guys. But yeah, they're playing well. It feels like all roads lead to them being a play-in team as well, but we'll see what happens by the end of the season. It's funny looking at their assist numbers on the year. Their top 4 guys in assists per game are Davion Mitchell at 7 a game, then Jaime Jaquez, Pele Larson, and Nikola Jovic. Like, not even their top guy. Like, Hero's not up.
Yeah, it's not guards.
2. No,
right.
Like, Hero's averaging 2. Norman Powell's averaging 2.7.
Because everyone has the. I'm sorry, I keep talking while you are. Everyone has the ball. Like, that's how the offense is based. Everyone gets an opportunity to go make a play.
And Pele
I'm actually curious to see how they rank in assists per game. They're definitely top 10 in the league.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're 7th in the league in assists. Fun note, did not realize that the Utah Jazz are 2nd in assists at 30 a game. That's impressive stuff from Will Hardy.
It's amazing when guys aren't worried about their egos or like their legacies or their getting their usage and their shots up, like how well you share the ball and stuff.
Yeah, to that point, let's see. Dead last
less
in
superstars.
Assists, dead last in the league in assists has been the Clippers this season, and also bottom 6th worst in assists are the Lakers. And that's because even though you have like LeBron, Reeves, and Luka that average a lot of assists, it seems like it's only in their hands. Not everyone is getting a chance to like move the ball and spread it around. But there's a grade for every single NBA team. One of the longer podcasts that we've had in a while. Yeah. But a very fun one. Hope you guys did enjoy this one. We'll be back in 2026 in the new year to discuss, some things regarding, some more of these teams, see if there are any more stories that get developed throughout this season. But that's it for us here. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.